Hi, 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 Sangeet. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, the one day this decides to happen, it has to be today, right?
It's okay.
uh, I'm so sorry. So you were talking about that you gave a talk on women's participation in the farmers' protest, and is that where the idea of Karti Dharti germinated?
Yes, the host asked, just let me ask a logistical question. So when your connection goes down, um, the audience won't be able to hear me either, right?
No, no,
Okay,
unfortunately not.
okay, okay. Um, yeah. So the host asked a question if there is a newsletter run by women for the protest, and I said no. But then there was the idea that we should be doing it. We mostly concentrate on the on the voices from the ground. We reach out to women, mostly women, um, who are participating in the protest or who are in Punjab to write for us, and especially we reach out to Dalit women to write for us. So that is basically, we don't do news. We mostly do, the analytical part of what's going on, and from the perspective of women.
Okay. And what if I were to ask you this very difficult question? How have things changed for the women who were participating in the participation change? Sangeet, could you?
Uh, your voice is your voice got cut off at. I gathered the question is how women's lives changed because of the protest.
Correct. No, not because of the protest. Like how the nature of their participation or the extent of their participation has changed over the protest, and how has that changed the protest itself?
Hmm. To answer the first part, it's an evolution in itself. How the nature of their participation changed. Initially, when I used to go to the protest in Punjab, the first protest that I attended, there were women sitting, listening to these leaders. Really, a few women. I asked them if I can click their pictures. They said no, uh, and I was like, okay.
Hmm.
Then in October, because on weekends I started going to various protests at various places. So there I asked a few women if they would like to talk to me about what's going on, and they said no. Uh, but by the time it was the Shara, you go at any protest and women are going to come to you and tell you what's going on. And not just this problem, but every problem, because women are at the heart of this, smaller unit called family. Um, the kids go to the school, she's responsible for the education, she's responsible for their well-being, and the infrastructure around education, around well-being, around what happens after education is not in her control. She knows that the hospitals are not working, she knows that the education system is not working, she knows that once she has the kids through the school, they're not going to get any jobs. She's the one who faces all these problems, right? So women came to me and told me about all those allied problems also, that the government has not done anything so far for us, and the farm laws are something similar, something on the lines of let's privatize hospitals, let's privatize schools. And we don't want it because we know that the system is going to crumble and it's going to come down upon us. So their political training started. They came to know that there is this power, this strength in being unionized, that their personal problems have the solution in being unionized. Um, They started going to the protest sites at Delhi. But back home, because I have seen that media has missed a big part of what was happening in Punjab when it comes to women participation, and what is still happening in Punjab when it comes to women participation. Once most of the men moved to the Delhi borders, women came in and they started sitting. They took control of the sit-in protests within Punjab, um, and then women who never got out of their houses, they started doing Gurdwara announcements. They started mobilizing more women, more people. We should go, we should do this. If you can't go, you can contribute like this. So this new wave of, women leadership, at village level emerged. So, and it's still going on. There are a lot of, you know, women organizations who are establishing units in various villages because women are reaching out to them. We want to get unionized. We want to get together because this is the way we can solve our problems. And this has strengthened the movement in return because, you know, uh, farming is a seasonal activity. Sometimes you have free days, sometimes you have a lot of busy days, and beginning of April, these are busy days. They cut the crop, they take it to mandi, they sell it. So these things which are done by men, they can't be at the protest site because now they will have to take care of all these activities related to, they still have to earn a living. So now women decided that they should be going to the protest sites so that the government or anybody else won't think that people are not there. So then they mobilize themselves. So it's like they have strengthened the movement in a way, you know, in a very, how do you call it? What do we call husband and wife are complement? Yeah, compliments, like complement each other. They have complemented it.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली और इस बात का मुझे लगता है कि ये विमेन पार्टिसिपेशन और ये दिस इमर्जेंस ऑफ अ न्यू पॉलिटिकल क्लास व्हिच इज विमेन चिल्ड्रन द एल्डरली जो जो हम देख रहे हैं आजकल with the farmers protest. We saw the same thing with the NRCCA protests also. Is baat, I feel this will be the nail in the coffin of this Tanashahi government because they don't know what to do with this. They never anticipated, ki the revolution actually will come in all genders and it will come in all ages and it will come with from sort of like bodies that उन्हें कभी लगा नहीं था कि there will be protests that will be helmed by women, that will be not just जिसमें सिर्फ participation है, like you're saying today, because it's May, through April and through May you will have the men going back to Punjab for the harvest season. You will have the women who will be standing there and protesting, and I find this as something that is just so important and strong and really really one of the biggest sort of like political changes that we are seeing, like through these protests over the past 4 years with the NRC protests and now with the farmers movement. Talking about the government, I mean, there is nothing that they have not tried to break the protests, right? Like, and it's important to talk about the employment of police and their brutalities, right? Like the most spoken about cases are Nodeep Kaur's and Shiv Kumar's case. But can you tell us from the ground, what have you seen or what did you see in terms of police action, and how does one understand that the police that is supposed to serve the public is now is being used so blatantly to attack the public that is demanding its rights?
Yeah, it's not just the police, but uh, on 25th of November, when the farmers were going towards Delhi, uh, there were all kinds of forces, and they come in all kinds of uniforms, and they have all kinds of arms in hands. I was at, I still remember that. I was at Shambhu border, Shambhu barrier, sorry, Shambhu barrier, and there are like all these forces, they have crazy kind of, different colors, but same like camouflage, but like blue and green and a little bit brownish. So all those forces, I have no idea what their names are, but they're like there, and they have handguns, and they have weapons with them. And once the protesters moved the trucks on the side, and everything, they just kind of you know pushed everything aside, and the first trolleys passed. We became very excited, very happy that the first barrier has been crossed. My son, who was 9 years at that time, he was with me, a little bit scared also. Um, he looked at all those forces, all those people with so many weapons, and he's like, they have shields and they have weapons. Shouldn't be the shields on the other side so that it's a little bit fair? And it's this fairness, this treatment, that you can't have it all and not give the citizens anything else. And I told him, you know the biggest shield, or you can say the biggest thing that we have, is that we are peaceful, and we are going to remain peaceful. And when you are peaceful, when you demand your rights peacefully, um, these weapons, these guns you see, they're useless, because they can't really use it, and they can keep their shields and their weapons. And that point onwards, you see how police, how the forces by the government have been used, the sheer way. So once we went to the borders, we settled down there, and every now and then they have like this idea of flexing their muscle, right? And they will have like these, a batch of some uniformed people come in, and they are going to march through the protest with their weapons. And are they going to do something crazy here? What's going on? I remember at one point some of the protesters were really wary about why there are so many forces, why they keep walking around in the protest. uh, and then we concluded that they're just scaring us. So showing you just that way. Why? And then on the other side of the concrete wall, I told you about that wall. It's like police for, a kilometer long stretch. They have their vehicles parked there, they have their tents there, and they are just standing there doing nothing.
Yeah.
But then there is this funny thing where, so there are like Nihang Singhs who have occupied the backstage of the Mocha at Singhu. Then there are those concrete barriers, and then on the other side of the barrier, like there is also that infamous wire. And on the other side are those forces and police people, and whatnot. And it was so cold one night. And we were just like, all right, let's take a stroll. We are gonna see what those people are doing on the other side. um, and the guy came in, the police guy, and like, Babaji, can you give us some wood, because we feel so cold? And then they're like, "Ha, de dene yaar. We are gonna give, but we are gonna throw it on the other side so that we get it." And then these neighbors give them like that. And you look at their situation is pathetic too. what are the conditions they are working in? And their hands are tied because they, as human beings, they are just doing that for their family, for their kids. um, but that's the chest, that's Modi's chest, and who cares?
Sort of thought would be calling the farmers' protest is actually a farmers and laborers' protest, right? And how are you viewing this intersection with respect to like these two like groups? I mean, obviously, in many cases, they are not separate groups; they are the same. But also, like, what are you seeing on ground? And
Um, on ground, a lot has been happening, and a lot will have to happen for it to be truly Kisan Mazdoor Ekta. Um, for it's important to understand how laborers, Dalit labor or the other labor castes, they can't go and sit in, because it's not that they have grown a crop and they can leave it to a neighbor and go someplace for, let's say, 10-15 days. They have to earn a wage every day, so they can't leave that labor job. um, so when they go for 2 to 3 days. um, for farmers, it's easy to hop on to a tractor or trolley and be at the protest site. When it comes to the laborers, they have to pool money so that they can hire a bus or a truck, and um, many people can go together at the protest site. So a lot of people that I have met there, they mostly came in like this wave of groups who came in one weekend or the other for 2 days on a truck, on a bus, pooled money to be there, to participate, to see in which ways they can contribute. Um, but having because labor codes were also passed last year, um, and to truly make that a part of the protest and have these either the laborers or landless farmers or come together in this protest, I think those demands that we also need to repeal the three farm laws, three labor laws, that was crucial, but that was somehow missed. Um, so a chunk of those laborers didn't participate. Early on, they had this, idea perpetuating that um, finally, this Jat class, these farmers, are under stress, and we are enjoying it. But then a lot of work um, was done by the unions to make them understand that it's not just the farmer who's going to get affected. And I talked to some of the farmer union leaders regarding this point, and they always said that it was on their part that they couldn't explain the connection earlier. It could have done differently, to make the rest of the section understand also. Let's say in the economy of this village, the rest of the people also understand that it's not just the farmer whose land or everything else is going to get affected, but this whole food supply is going to get affected. The prices are going to get affected, and they won't be able to afford the food anymore. um, so then slowly that happened, and people understood that. Last year we had, during the lockdown, because uh, the laborers from other states, they left. We saw how they left, in what conditions. Many of them died while leaving. Um, and back home, it was the same harvest season, and then chona lavai, when they plant rice. So that's these two seasons. And so a village community got divided. There is this one village whose community got divided. I'm just going to give one example. um, the farmers said that, we're not going to pay more than these many rupees per day to these laborers who are mostly Dalit, who have remained in the village, because otherwise you get cheaper labor, who went back home. So they boycotted. Half of the village community got boycotted by the farmers, that we're not going to pay them more labor. That boycott in this particular village continued till a month ago, when it got highlighted that the union, which was stronger there, that listen, there is still this boycott. And as a part of that boycott, what happened was, the sewage water was, directed towards the homes of the Dalit community. And it was everywhere on the streets. Their homes were getting filled with it. So when it became, attention got paid to it in the media somehow, then they resolved the issue. So that's why, and the movement at the borders is a reflection of what's happening in the village. So if the village community is broken, it is gonna look broken there. If it's healing, it's gonna heal there. So it's a reflection, and it's healing. It's healing, but very slowly.
And can you think the reverse can happen? Can you think this solidarity can be built at the protest and taken back to the village?
Very good question. Yeah. In When it comes to women issues, I always think that they are gonna go back with the consciousness that, they are not gonna take it while sitting at home. They're gonna take some action if their personal lives are miserable. That I have always thought. But when it comes to this fracture, I always felt that this fracture is so deep that it's difficult to heal it there. Village has its own politics. A village politics is an entirely different beast. And um, in the village politics, Dalit votes are played differently. So that's why I feel like, you know, it's the village that will have to change. And now that we have this political consciousness that the political parties are not gonna save us from anything, it's all of us together. Uh, but definitely, I feel like, if one village is sitting there with a few trolleys, but then the thing is, they're not mingling there. That is the problem.
Mm,
If
mm,
10 people have gone to the protest site from one village,
mm,
there's 3 trolleys, there is hardly any Dalit laborer in there, except
mm,
for someone is there on his own accord. There is one man that I know, he's 60 years old, um, but he doesn't have a family, so that's why he can be there, and he is there from day one. But it's very difficult to find one village where it's all kinds of people are there.
right, right. I mean, the BKU had given out this statement, which was really a powerful statement. And they said that if a government can last for 5 years, why can't a protest last for 5 years, right?
Hmm.
And I wanted to ask that what are some of the conversations being had beyond the farm laws, or right now the situation is so bad that the idea is to first repeal the farm laws and then we will talk about the larger revolution.
Hmm. Um, so mostly the people who are sitting there, they are interested in getting the farm laws repealed and go back home.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to be there. It's there was winters were harsh, and now summers are gonna be really, really harsh.
Uh,
It's just sit there, leave everything behind, and be there for 10 days, 15 days. It has a huge economic cost also um, within the village economy. So, uh, but the issues that you can you know those are the same issues that I earlier I talked about when women were talking to me. Those are the issues of the education, of employment, of getting out of this country, um,
mm,
and the most prominent thing that you would like, this uniform conversation that you can hear, like overhear from various people from various trolleys, is that Modi needs to go.
yeah,
Is the guy
yeah,
to go? BJP needs to go. We
yeah.
have let them enter, and we will see how to look at the rest of the things. So the bigger theme is BJP and Modi. They are the theme. They are the people who need to be, thrown out of the ruling um, party.
Well, on that fantastic note, because yes, I mean, if this country has to survive, you know, if the people of this country have to survive, and by people I don't mean the Adanis and the Ambanis, I mean the people of this country have to survive. The BJP really has to go. Thank you so much, Sangeet, and I'm so sorry there was so much lag
So
from. And I mean, I think we spent 20 minutes out of the hour trying to fix that. But maybe we'll have another conversation as a follow up, because I hear, from what I hear, there is going to be another march in May that is being announced to the parliament.
no, that's not fixed. It was announced, but it was taken. Nothing else is going to happen there because we are taking COVID situation very seriously, even at the protest sites. Um,
Right,
the leaders have established. They are in touch with the local health agencies so that we can have, some sort of clinics there, and people
right,
are mandates to wear masks and stuff like that. So very busy
right,
to, and it doesn't make sense to march to the parliament at this time.
right.
Yeah.
So as of now, the plan is to stay put and let this wave of pandemic pass before any fresh actions, right?
Yes. Yes. And the yes, exactly.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you so much once again. Yeah. I mean, there is so much more to talk about and so much more to ask. Uh, yeah. I think for the paucity of time, we'll cut this chat here. Unless you have any last parting remarks, Sangeet.
Yeah, just one last thing, which is very important. I just always, especially after the COVID crisis, how it has snowballed into these huge numbers, people dying. I just, when we look at the laws, we just look at how those are gonna affect some communities. We don't see how it's gonna affect everyone. Um, Farm laws are just a part of what Modi government is doing. It's just a small bit. And there is so much that this government is not doing. And by not doing, there are so many people dying. There is so much more that this government is doing, but in a way so that more people will die. We are going to die of hunger. We are going to die of thirst because pretty soon the the way we are forced to do agriculture is basically taken a toll on the underground water. We are gonna in a few years, like people have been lining up for oxygen cylinders, we will be lining up for drinking water. And believe me, if this regime continues, we are gonna die of by not having our basic needs fulfilled, which is having food and having water. We really, really, really need to get behind this movement. We really need to express dissent at whichever place we are, and we need to force this government out. We need to have new
Right.
leaders. We need to have new and
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's anybody who is seeing what is happening around us should agree with what you just said. It's not even that we are prophesizing something that people are not able to see today. It's more clear than ever that what you just said, that we are going to die of hunger, we're going to die of thirst, we're going to die out of unemployment, we're going to die fighting each other, and we are going to die without any rights if if this government is allowed to continue to be in power. Thank you so much once again, Sangeet. It was lovely,
thank
lovely talking to you.
same here.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night, guys. Thank you for everybody, to everybody who has been listening despite so many technological